Hi, this is Ian Wright, and this is part 10 of my little introduction, beginner's kind of introduction to meditative practice. There are so many ways to meditate, from contemplation, prayer, relationship, developing a relationship to stillness, to a variety of kind of what I would call sensory meditations. It's countless, and everybody has their own way or way in, or ways that actually would be helpful for them. But the kind of one element I would say within all of those different practices is this idea of finding neutral, taking our brain out of gear, finding a place of peace from which to work from. And I think that's really important just in general life, actually, to be able to find a way of doing that. So this particular number 10 here isn't about particularly a meditation. It's just a little bit of a discussion about developing your own practice. And the only way to develop a practice is to dedicate some time every day, and I think it has to be pretty much every day, as much as you can, to actually find some time in order to dedicate to you. And we're all so crazy busy, and it's so hard to find it, but the value of having a practice of your own, I think, is immeasurable. It's huge in terms of gaining a connection with a sense of internal peace, reconnecting with a sense of internal health, aliveness, or vitality. That whole idea that I've talked about acting in the world as opposed to reacting to the world, rebalancing ourselves, connecting to a sense of stillness, that incredible stillness that is there behind everything. And if we can get a sensory perception to it, we build a relationship to that stillness, and it can bring natural pauses in the day, natural moments, still points in the day where our nervous systems come quite quiet, come back in, and then kind of shift into another gear. Boom. It's like a natural pause, stillness, and then we become much more natural in our engagement with the world. And we naturally, our senses open, and we gain more of a sensory awareness of the world. It's taking time to stop and smell the roses, or whatever, that's the kind of metaphor for it. In my book, which was out in October, Dynamics of Stillness, there's a whole load of sensory meditations that develop and build on each other, which really develop this much further than what we've done in these last 10. So I suggest you take a look at that or some of the online stuff. And I've got hundreds of podcasts about different types of meditational practice and health and well-being, I suppose is what you'd call it. So really, who should be meditating? It's interesting. How young should someone start? Should a child start? Actually, to take a quiet moment, like a still point as a child, so we can all sit, when you're young, let's sit, and hold hands, or just be quiet for 1 second and listen to the world or to the quiet, or stay still like soldiers, or, play sleep, that kind of thing. But a little moment just of quiet, if that can be introduced to young children and toddlers, that they can find this way of connecting to quiet in themselves. Sometimes it's really hard to do, and I spend a lot of my time working with children in order for them to find that kind of space. But it is possible. Obviously, nature is the best thing for children, and play, spontaneous play. It brings them into neutral. Children naturally are in neutral, as I've talked about in lots of previous podcasts, until they start employing their mind, and then That's lost for a long time until we try and find our way back to that point of neutral. So in order to, what also can we develop? And I'm just looking at the kind of ideas that we started to talk about. Let me just remember, okay, we're starting with neutral, and then we're looking at that idea of accepting that we have thoughts, feelings, emotions, allowing them, and fully allowing. And if we actually practice fully allowing, as I talked about in a thing about working with children's emotions, just in the last podcast I did, that fact of allowing softens the energy of something. So if there's tension in us, just allowing whatever feeling we feel consciously, bringing our conscious attentional awareness to allowing, just softens the edges. And that in itself, I think, is magic. And if we can come to a place where we're getting quite skilled at this, where we can just observe our thoughts and our feelings, emotions, and we recognize that we are not them. They are something that passes across our perfect blue sky as like light clouds, and that we don't have to attach our consciousness to them. We just watch them, we observe them, and they become lighter and they drift away. And it takes us back to that perfect blue sky, or that perfect stillness, which we all have access to at all times, actually. So I think that's very important. And some of the other stuff that we work with our attention, I think for me, a lot of this work is about becoming conscious of where our attention lies, and actively moving our attention if we want to, or just being conscious of that. A consciousness of our attention, for me, is the mainstay of any meditative practice. And that in itself can allow us to bring back all our kind of fulcrums, the things that drag us away from ourselves, and we come back into ourselves. Using breath, there's a million different techniques in terms of using breath in meditation, using the softness in the breathing, using healing breath. I'm just about to do a podcast in a minute about healing breath and particular forms of that. There's so many different breathing techniques which are wonderful in some, and but we just introduced that a little bit in this situation, and so. When we go through, so if you actually go through these processes of especially of getting a felt sense, a feeling sense of stillness, a qualitative feeling sense of that stillness that's always there, and it's around us, it's outside of us. There's a stillness, and it has a feeling quality. You feel it in your cells, and that stillness permeates and is us. We are stillness as well. And if we can get a feeling quality of that stillness, I think it can be incredibly peaceful. And then the work that we did in the last one about reattuning our attentional awareness to a sense of aliveness, a sense of vitality, a sense of health in us, a sense of potency in us, which can start us on the process towards self-healing, because what we pay attention to grows. And if we pay attention to our blocks, they feel worse. Our neural wiring connects to that sense, and it just like puts a highlight on it. But if we can bring our attention awareness to this aliveness, this potency in us, this natural feeling in us, and we learn to actually keep our awareness on that can be actually very healing. It can make things that feel blocked start to soften and unblock. And it's a principle of healing, actually. It's a practice of healing, and it's a very nice mental task, is to shift our awareness from kind of lesion or what's wrong to health. And it's very, very important. So we've got quite a lot of different elements that we can do there, and we can focus on within a practice. But actually, when it comes down to it, it's just allowing, accepting, observing, connecting to stillness, and allowing ourselves to come to a point of quiet neutral. and a still point and a rest. And coming back into ourselves, if we can just do that, that is a foundation point for all of the later and more advanced kind of meditative practices where you can kind of move your energy around and connect to different elements in nature, etc., which are, I think, lovely things, but we have to have the grounding, the groundwork there first in place. So I wish you well, and I hope you do develop a practice, because I think it's one of the most important things we can do, not just for our sense of peace, but actually for our health. And there are lots and lots of proven health benefits and mental benefits from having a practice. And if we can all have that as part of our habit, I think it will make for more pleasant days. It actually brings much more joy and happiness to our days. So the whole that 10 minutes has a huge effect on the whole day. And ideally, you do your 10 minutes in the morning and you do your 10 minutes in the evening. That's the perfect amount. But I don't think you need to do more than that. I think that's enough. You know, you don't need to sit and meditate for 4 hours. I don't think. It's the quality of the experience that you have in that time that's important for me. And the funny thing is, though, is the more you do it, the more time you find that you want to do it. So actually that little 10-minute meditation becomes 20, 30 minutes. It expands because you're very happy to do it. And so I think that's a natural way for it to expand, is just to start little. But the point is to just do it. Make sure you do it. It's like getting over that hump, right? I will sit down and do that. I will create that time in the day for me. You know, I'll turn my phone off. I'll turn the internet off. You know, the kids are elsewhere or whatever. And it's just, this is me time. And I'll dedicate that to myself, and I won't allow myself to be disturbed. And I will rebalance. And it just makes the quality of the day and the experiences that we have in the day, the tonal quality of them, better. It's like putting on a different glasses on the day. And to me, what could be better, really? Anyway, I wish you well, and check out my book and check out the website and lots of these podcasts, which are obviously all free, and hopefully they're helpful to you. That's the purpose of it anyways. Okay, I wish you well. Bye.